InDesign, File, New, Document, Tabloid, one page, uncheck facing pages. I'm going to use 3 columns, and my margins are 1/2 inch all the way around. Create. File, save. I have a folder called Guidelines Demo. I'm going to call this Guidelines. Save it. Save early and often. Okay, make sure view that you have the rulers shown. This way you can drag guides from the top and the bottom to help you organize your layout. Also, view grids and guides. Show the document grid. If you don't like this many squares, go into InDesign Preferences, Grids, and I'm going to make the subdivisions 2, vertical and horizontal. Okay. And then when I don't want to look at the grids anymore, I just push the W and it makes the grids go away. And then as far as the workspace goes, I like to use the Essentials Classic, and you see what happens as soon as I clicked to create type. It senses that I am working with type, so I can access from that top menu bar. I'm going to set up a palette, window color swatches, and I want to add a new color group. Call it Guidelines. Okay. And then I know my Pantone colors for my logo. So I'm going to do a new color swatch and select it from the Pantone Solid Coated. 199 is my red. And Pantone Solid Coated. It is Pantone Yellow. Pantone Yellow C is my choice. Okay, so now I have my colors in my swatches panel in InDesign. I want to create a box to put my logo in. I can click and drag, File, Place, or Command D. And I've prepared in my Guidelines demo, I've put the images and the text all in one place. Good workflow. So here's my JR Logo AI, open, and it pops it in. I would like to make it larger, and I'd like it to make it so that it fits this one column, but I have some choices. If I go to Object Fitting and say Fill Frame Proportionately, see what happens, it distorts it. So Apple Z that. But if I go into Fitting Fill Content Proportionately, it makes the logo as large as it can without distorting it. Then I can take this direct selection tool or the open arrow and slide it up to the top. To access the content, the image, you double click in the box. To move the box, you use the selection tool and make sure that the blue line is visible and you can move the whole box. But to just move the image, you can double click in it and move it in that space. Understand that these images are not in the document, they're linked to the document, and that's why you have to package. I'm going to click and drag a headline. And as you can see, this window knows that I'm working with type. I'm going to use a typeface called Quire. And I think I'm going to try the bold. And I know that I want a big point size, so I'm going to just go to 72 and type in guidelines. I can access kerning and leading from here. I think I'd like to make this. This will actually make the type a different width. But what I want to do is I want to create less space in between the letters. So this is the kerning. So I have tightened up the letters, and now I can make this headline larger. A cool way to do that is Command, Shift, and then the right arrow will take the type up. And the left arrow will take it down. So it's a quick way to size. And I think I'm going to make this type red. Cool. Let's add some text to this column. Drag a text box, File, Place, and here is my prepared guidelines text. And place it inside. Then I can format it using this top box to my typeface choice. And I'm going to size it at 11. And don't think you have to stay with the default leading. You can increase or decrease the leading. This is an aesthetic choice. What if I wanted to have this panel, for some reason, bright yellow? Now that looks kind of cool, except that my type is set up against the edges. So to pull the text away from the edges, you go to Object and drag down to Text Frame Options. Sorry. Inset spacing. Let's do 1/4 of an inch all the way around. And then my text is sitting in the middle of that box. Let's add some more text. I'm going to have this drag across these two columns. File, Place. Let's go to this text again. Open and place it in. And say I wanted to have an image that was described with this text. I'm going to go to File, Place, and bring in my InDesign Guidelines folder, bring in an image that shows what a design for a phone would look like with my logo. But I want this to be bigger. So I'm going to use the keyboard command, and then the angle bracket that is more than. I think before I had called it the left and right arrow, but it's not. It's the angle bracket. So this is the, you can do greater than and less than to help you position an image as large as you want it. And say, for instance, I wanted it to tuck in, say, right about there and have the text kind of wrap around it, describing it. So you select the image, it has to be on top of the text, and you go to Window and drag down to Text Wrap. Then you can choose the way you want it to wrap around the box. And then I'm going to do, again, about 1/4 of an inch all the way around. And if I click the W, you can see how it wraps around the image. You can also use things like the pen tool to make, you know, say you want to have a little bit of fun with doing a couple shapes that don't necessarily have to be brought in from Illustrator, but just built with in the InDesign program itself. All right, time to package and save. You save first, and then File, Package. And you want to copy the fonts, copy the linked graphics, update any graphics in the event that you had made changes to a photo in process. Make sure that it's that the links are updated, including the IDML. If somebody has an earlier version of InDesign, they'll be able to open it, and include a PDF and package. So I'm going to go ahead and package it in my guidelines folder, which I'm going to place in this Fall 220, and my assignment 3 is where I have this guidelines demo. So I'm going to put this I'm going to package this and put the folder in that. Overset text. Now this tells me that there's something I should look for. So I'm going to say cancel, and I'm going to see what it is. See, there's little pluses here, which say that there's text that's overset in the box, which means I either am going to remedy that by making the box bigger, or delete some text, or somehow deal with it, because there was text that was in this box that wasn't showing, that was being cut off. So now I'm going to go ahead and package it again, but it's asking me to save because I made a change. And let's save it in this guidelines demo, package it. This is just software, don't worry about it. Okay, so now it is saved, and if I go to my folder on my desktop, the InDesign Guidelines demo folder, you can see that it has packaged my fonts, and it has both of my links, my 2 little pictures, and in order to upload this, submit this to Schoology, or send it to a printer, you would click on the folder. Don't double click, don't open it, just select it. And then in your Finder, go to File, Compress. And it creates a little zip folder. And that is the folder that you would submit to Schoology. So, hope these tips and tricks were helpful.